Over to you, Steve.
Okay, well, thank you, Ros. I think I've shared with Ros and the rest of everyone before now that I'm part of a small group of blokes called Old Guys United, and as the name implies, they are old. but the main purpose of the group was interesting because one of the members of the group was really struggling through the pandemic. So we felt we just wanted to support him and encourage him. And ever since then, we sort of taken a theme for a period of time, it may be a couple of months, a theme, and actually delved into the word, delved into various verses. And it's become something which I've becoming to rely on it each morning because it's a real discipline and it's really a daily devotional. So today, the theme we're on at the moment is the theme of seeking God. That's simple, just seeking God. And today we looked at the famous verses, Jeremiah 29:11-14. Everyone knows those verses. We'll get to those later. But before we get to those verses, it's good to put it in context. And these verses are at a time when the people of Israel were in exile in Babylon. And among those people in exile were many false prophets and people who were teaching wrong things. And in the midst of all of this, Jeremiah writes a letter. And he wrote a letter to the surviving elders who were among those in exile. And this is, and I'm going to read it to you. It's a long piece. It's in chapter 29, verse 4. And I shall read it like this, and it's from the NIV. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says to all those I carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and settle down, plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry and have sons and daughters. Find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage so that they too may have sons and daughters. Increase in number there, do not decrease. Also seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, you too will prosper. Yes, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. Do not let the prophets and diviners among you deceive you. Do not listen to the dreams you encourage them to have. They are prophesying lies to you in my name. I have not sent them, declares the Lord. That's his letter at a time when I find it, my immediate reaction is to go, what? What's going on here? Because the people of Israel are in exile and they have to wait 70 years before being released. Now, if I was among that lot, I'd be saying, God's abandoned me. And here, Jeremiah is writing to the elders saying, allow the people who've captured you to increase in profit, to grow in abundance, so that you benefit from it. Now, it's quite a strange anomaly, but that's what God is allowing. And when I look at that, I think probably they're wondering if God has forgotten them. Then God in verses 11-14 says this, and this is the verses which we are picking up from today. And they're those famous verses. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Lord, and will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. They had to wait 70 years for that, to be brought back from what they would have thought was suffering and difficulty. But God allowed all that, which is amazing. Which, when I look at that, I think, in the midst of our great challenges, even though there are all sorts of issues going on around us, perhaps in our personal life, perhaps with friends and neighbours, God has a plan for each and every one of us. And I found that really comforting. And in this context, amazing and staggering, but comforting. So, brothers and sisters, in verse 12 and 13, we are encouraged to seek God, to be proactive, to be positive, because God has a plan for you. As we seek God with all our heart, as we spend time with him, we increase our relationship with him, we get closer to him. So whatever your issues you are facing today or tomorrow, let us continue to seek God with all our heart. And as we get closer, so we get to know him better and his will for your life and my life. And finally, I'm just going to finish with this because I'm reminded of the lyrics to the song Waymaker. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. So even if you don't feel it, you don't see it, God is working in your life each and every day. And I found that so encouraging, because we are faced with challenges in what we're called to do, in our workplace, and we know we face challenges. We know, and so even if we can't see any change, any movement in what we're doing in where God's called to serve us, He is working for you and in you and behind the scenes. So I hope that encourages you. I found it really encouraging. Having read the context of that, I feel even more encouraged now, because just think of your challenges, nothing like the people of Israel. So I hope that encourages you today.